On July 1, 2018, at a high-security prison south of Paris, one of the largest and most modern detention centers in France, hundreds of guards oversee massive 17-meter walls lined with barbed wire and armored doors. The courtyards are covered with anti-helicopter netting, and on all 4 watchtowers, snipers with assault rifles stand ready. In solitary confinement cell 207, inmate number 001-0189 waits to be escorted to a visiting room. He is the most heavily guarded prisoner in the country, involved in at least 30 robberies, some including hostages, one involving a cash-in-transit heist that led to the death of a police officer. He has slipped away from the police multiple times. 5 years ago, in 2013, he executed a spectacular escape from another high-security prison using a smuggled gun and explosives to blast his way out. 2 guards unlock his cell to pat him down. They find something suspicious, but it's just a pack of gum. Despite his record, the guards like him. He is easygoing, funny, and likable. It's almost as if he's perfectly comfortable behind bars. 20 miles away, 65-year-old flight instructor Stephen B. welcomes 2 new students, Frederick and Julian, father and son. They just want to tag along and watch him fly, requesting to board his vintage 1950s Alouette 2 helicopter. Something feels sketchy to Stefan, but they pay €500 up front. Back in jail, the prisoner is escorted to the visitors' block for high-risk inmates, situated far from the entrance. Prison management has noticed a change in his behavior: more visits, coded messages during phone calls, and a casual vibe with guards that could be a tactic to extract intel. A few days ago, a drone was spotted scouting the facility from above. Stefan lands on a clearing where his students had said they needed to stop. When they return, they are armed, claiming to know his family and home address. They threaten him. If he does not follow their orders, his family dies. Meanwhile, on the visitor side, the inmate's older brother waits to see him, unaware that his little brother is about to pull off the most spectacular prison break in French history. The prisoner, calm and composed, prepares for his helicopter ride. He is France's most infamous criminal, a best-selling author, movie buff, and adrenaline junkie. To many in France's immigrant suburbs, he is a legend. His name is Ran Faed. To understand how he ended up here, we go back to 1978 in a suburb near Paris. Six-year-old Ran Faed browses a newly opened store with his older brother. They are Algerian immigrants in a cramped 3-room apartment with 9 siblings. Surrounded by wealthy French kids, they do not fit the mold and are subjected to racial slurs. Ran Faed's first theft happens in the parking lot. Weeks later, he is caught, whipped by his father, and made to promise never to steal again. Around this time, he discovers the world of film, especially French crime thrillers and American gangster movies. By his teens, stealing is not just survival but a way of life. Swiping electronics to afford sneakers, tracksuits, and movie tickets. At 18, Ran Faed commits his first bank robbery, armed, holding employees at gunpoint, delivering lines straight from the films he idolizes. Over time, his crimes escalate, taking hostages, imitating cinematic heists, and ultimately targeting armored trucks. An industrial area on the outskirts of Paris sees Ran Faed behind the wheel of a Renault, spotting a 6-ton armored truck with 3 armed guards inside. He slams his car into it. 2 more cars block the truck from front and back. 5 men in hockey masks jump out with AK-47s, surrounding the truck. One slaps an explosive-looking package on the windshield. The guards surrender. Ran Faed and his crew start emptying the truck, but the cash is too much, and after 3 minutes, police arrive. Gunfire erupts. Ran Faed is hit in the shoulder but escapes, leaving DNA evidence behind. Stephen B. and his captors hover the helicopter around the high-security prison after briefly landing nearby. They haul black duffel bags into the aircraft, packed with tear gas, smoke grenades, masks, AK-47s, and an angle grinder. Inside the prison, Ran Faed waits calmly in the visiting room, chatting with his older brother. But how did Ran Faed end up in jail for the very first time? 2 decades earlier, at the Moving Pick Hotel in Basel, a staff member enters a room to prepare for the next guest, unaware that she isn't alone. Ran Faed has been hiding there for over 3 hours. Meanwhile, police comb the city outside. Just a few hours prior, Ran Faed had been taken into custody on a train traveling from Germany to France by German federal authorities. He had been evading capture abroad for months. Yet the moment officers tried to escort him off the train, he broke free. Sprinting across the tracks, he dodged pursuing officers. A train thundered past, blocking their path. He leaped several meters down and twisted his ankle, forcing him to limp. Somehow, he reached the rear entrance of the Moving Pick Hotel and slipped inside. Several doors were ajar since the cleaning crew was still working. Ran Faed had to figure out a way to get out. He considered contacting an acquaintance in Strasbourg, but without a phone, his options were limited. A payphone outside might work, yet he had no coins. Calmly, he approached the receptionist, asking for change for a bill. She placed coins before him, creating another obstacle. His hands were still cuffed. What if she noticed and alerted authorities? Ran Faed stayed composed, pretending to casually read a promotional poster behind the desk. Once her back was turned, he swiftly grabbed the coins. His first attempt to call failed, and he vanished onto the hotel rooftop to hide for a few hours. When he tried again, he found himself encircled by 20 officers. The following day, Ran Faed was at the hospital with 2 officers checking his ankle. He feigned severe pain, then in a split second, dropped his crutches and seized a firearm from one of the officers. Having trained in CRA Maggid in Israel, he applied a highly efficient combat technique built for rapid defense and disarmament. Before the second officer could respond, Ran Faed struck him with his elbow, took the gun, and bolted for the second time in 24 hours. One would assume someone like him would have been under extreme supervision, yet he managed to escape once more. Prison guards hear strange noises outside, suspecting a leaf blower. In reality, special protocols are in motion. Guards are ordered to arm themselves. This sentinel receives an urgent order over the radio to unseal. The same procedure occurs on other watchtowers, each equipped with a special case. The guard must break the seal to access the contents. Inside is an HKG-36 assault rifle. He grabs it and takes aim. The helicopter continues its slow descent. The prison yards are heavily protected with anti-helicopter netting. Flying in here would be a suicide mission. Yet this is no ordinary helicopter. It's a 60-year-old vintage model, just narrow enough to slip through an unsecured gap in the last prison yard. They are not landing at all. Ran Faed must have understood that prison guards are prohibited from shooting at a hovering helicopter. A specific protocol exists, and perhaps he knew that Stephen B. is one of the few pilots in all France skilled enough to keep this vintage helicopter steady while hovering above the ground. Later, investigators would discover that Ran Faed had been writing letters to Stephen's stepdaughter for 2 years, and this friendship was not his only connection to the outside world. At this point, Ran Faed was already a star. October 2010, 12 years after his escape in Basel, 8 years before the helicopter prison break, Ran Faed appears on a French talk show. He is a welcomed guest, a minor sensation, and has even published a book about his cinematic crimes. Now he is promoting it on French TV. The caption reads, "Former gangster." Not so long ago, he had been anything but. In late 1998, 3 months after his escape in Basel, Ran Faed was caught and sentenced to 18 years in jail for armed robbery. He was granted early release for good behavior after just under 9 years. Now he presents himself as a reformed man, someone who has learned from his mistakes. He married, his brother provided him an office job, and he seemed to be taking life more calmly. At one point, he attended a film event where Michael Mann, the director of Heat, was physically present, the very film that had inspired his most audacious heist. Ran Faed spoke directly to Mann. Michael Mann appeared amused but slightly uncomfortable, unsure how to respond. In another talk show, Ran Faed was asked if he thought he might relapse. This was a bold-faced lie because he had already returned to committing crimes, not petty theft, but acts so audacious that they would shock the entire nation. May 20th, 2010, a suburb southeast of downtown Paris. 2 officers were on routine patrol, Cherry M., a male officer, and his partner, a 26-year-old female officer who had become a mother only a year prior. To them, it was just another day on the job. Suddenly, they received a call from the National Police. They were directed to the A4 highway exit. Criminals were on the run in a white van. At an intersection with flashing lights and blaring sirens, the officers approached, unaware of what awaited. These men had planned to rob an armored cash truck carrying 6 million euros, but 30 minutes earlier, a routine traffic stop had escalated into a high-speed chase. Now, the gang had crashed and required a new getaway vehicle. At that exact moment, the 2 patrol officers arrived. The gang opened fire without hesitation. 16 bullets pierced the patrol car's windshield. The female officer was hit multiple times. The gunman fled. She was rushed to the hospital and died by the end of the day. Her murder sent shockwaves across France. Thousands of police officers attended her funeral. Among them was President Nicolas Sarkozy, who posthumously awarded her a Medal of Honor and pledged to pursue her killers relentlessly. Ran Faed felt safe, so safe that he recounted his gangster stories openly on camera. In a documentary, as the filmmaker detailed her death, Ran Faed appeared, not as a suspect or fugitive, but as an expert on this type of heist. At that time, the filmmakers had no idea that the man before them had participated in the female officer's killing. The failed attack on the armored cash truck bore Ran Faed's signature, but he maintained an airtight alibi, insisting he was uninvolved. Investigators persisted, eventually uncovering surveillance footage. A security camera captured Ran Faed inside the white van used by the criminals. Ran Faed had not fired any shots, yet police had sufficient evidence to identify him as the mastermind. After a year on the run, Ran Faed was captured again and returned to prison. Meanwhile, 2 inmates were taking out the trash, accompanied by a prison guard. Suddenly, a helicopter appeared in the courtyard. They wondered if it was the fire department. Unarmed Warden Bolton hid in an office behind bulletproof glass. The inmates were about to witness Ran Faed's spectacular escape up close. One of the 3 accomplices stayed with Stefan, the pilot, holding a gun to his head. The other 2, masked and wearing bulletproof vests, carried AK-47s. They had just landed in the honor courtyard, normally inaccessible to prisoners. Anti-helicopter cables were unnecessary here. The man in green ran to a reinforced white door, carrying a 14-inch angle grinder. His partner deployed 3 smoke grenades, enveloping the courtyard in thick white smoke. The helicopter's spinning blades amplified the chaos. The grinding noise echoed through the prison. Ran Faed knew it was time. 40 seconds later, the metal door was sliced open. The man in green pushed it aside. Guards, unarmed, could only watch. One contacted civil aviation authorities, another the police emergency line, and a third called local law enforcement, but all were unsure or thought it a prank. Sentinels on 4 watchtowers carried firearms, yet could not see the helicopter, and shooting at a hovering aircraft was forbidden. Chaos reigned. Ran Faed's brother, furious, realized another escape was underway. Ran Faed's accomplices had cut through multiple locks and reached the door to visiting room 50, where Ran Faed was waiting. The angle grinder sliced the metal and the door opened. Ran Faed stormed out, followed by the man in green. His brother was left behind, frozen in disbelief. Ran Faed entered the prison courtyard 10 minutes after the helicopter arrived. He saluted the 2 inmates who had removed the trash and climbed into the helicopter. Dozens of inmates pressed against cell bars to witness the liftoff. The prison erupted in applause, like a scene from a movie. Ran Faed, a French gangster and avid movie fan, had escaped prison twice now. Multiple armed men had hijacked the helicopter to retrieve Ran Faed from within the prison. News of his breakout spread worldwide. Already a famed TV figure, this escape elevated his notoriety. A prominent French actress posted online, "Bravo Ran Faed, all of France is with you." The French police declared him the country's most wanted. 3 months later, authorities tracked him hiding in his hometown apartment. He had been disguising himself under a burqa in public. At his trial in 2020, extreme security measures were implemented, including a no-fly zone above the courthouse. A psychiatric assessment described Ran Faed as a socially adept manipulator, gifted at persuasion. He used charm and intelligence to control others. Ran Faed admitted he thrived on adrenaline, calling himself a sick man. His Hollywood-style heists had made global headlines, traumatized hostages, and caused the death of a 26-year-old female officer. He faced 2 trials for his role in her death and 2 prison escapes, ultimately sentenced to 39 years. His lawyer stated he had been in solitary confinement since 2019, strip-searched multiple times daily, and escorted under guard for every phone call. His hands remained shackled. Ran Faed described his confinement as being buried alive, with a possible release in 2060, when he would be 88.
Subscribe to the channel, or I'm not letting this loser out of jail.